let's get it out the way early. I think Canelo will and probably should duck this fight with David Benevidez. Look, I want the fight as a fan, because as a fan of boxing, what you want is the best fighting the best. And right now, Canelo Alvarez is the undisputed super middleweight champion. You need him to fight the best. And if he gets beat and David Benevidez takes that spot as now the guy with the crown, then so be it. But as a fan, you should want the best fighting the best. Canelo is the best. He's the top dog. And in order to be the top dog, you got to beat the top dog. And David Benevidez deserves the chance to take those belts. But if I'm Canelo, not if I'm Canelo. If I'm Canelo, I'm taking the fight because I think I could beat anybody. If I'm Canelo's team, though, I think I'm running for the hills and I'm avoiding this at all costs. Look, let's be honest as fans of Canelo Alvarez. The last couple fights, what have you seen? You have not seen the same Canelo. You have not seen a guy who appears to be unbeatable. What you have seen is a guy who is very stoic and comes in and inches closer, throws one shot at a time, power punches only, doesn't really seem as slick defensively as he once did. A guy who seems a lot older and seems like the damage he's taken in the ring and all those rounds are starting to pile up and get the best of him. Canelo looks old. I'm not going to say Canelo looks washed or Canelo looks done, but the end is in sight, and I think either he's going to be dethroned, which I think is the way it should go, or he's going to start taking easier fights and just get big paydays to kind of be a draw in a similar way that Floyd Mayweather did, taking very calculated risks. Now, I love the idea that he wants to fight Bivol in a rematch at 175 because that's a fight that he lost, and he must feel like, hey, if I was 100% healthy, because after that fight, he did get the surgery on the hand, so maybe he just feels like, hey, I'm 100% now. I could do better. I know I could beat this guy. And look, I appreciate that. As a man, as a competitor, you want that get back. I do support that and appreciate that. But Bivol has already said that he has no interest in fighting him at 175. And quite frankly, the beating that Canelo took in that fight really doesn't give much indication that he's going to beat Bivol in a rematch. I don't think he will. In fact, I think the fight might end up being a lot worse because Canelo will have to take more risks and chances than he did in that fight. And Bivol is too big and too skilled. There's really nothing Canelo's going to be able to do in that fight to make a difference. I think he loses again and probably loses even more convincingly. So now you come back down to Bivol. Now you come back down to David Benevidez. And what do you have there? A young, big fighter who has problems making weight because he's so big. A taller guy, a longer guy, and a guy who throws around between 60 and 70 punches around. Canelo cannot handle that type of pressure at this stage. He does not have the defensive ability anymore at this stage. Look, against John Ryder, I felt like Canelo was taking way more punishment than he should have been from a fighter of that caliber. And I feel like he was unable to destroy and break down John Ryder the way he should have been able to a fighter of that caliber. I think Canelo looks like he's taken a little step back. Now, look, he's still gonna beat most. I still would like him to beat Charlo. I still would like him to beat a lot of guys, but David Benevidez seems to me the perfect candidate to take a Canelo out and dethrone him. He's a guy who is strong, a guy who is bigger, a guy who is longer, a guy who is more active, and a guy who probably will be able to stand up to Canelo's power. Now, if Canelo can get in there and break him down to the body, could be pretty interesting, but in order to do so, Canelo's gonna have to change up the way he's been fighting. As I said, I came into the John Ryder fight feeling like Canelo had become a seek and destroy type of fighter, a guy who was really, really confident in his power and was willing to give up punches and give up rounds, knowing that he was going to get to the guy late in the fight. And in honesty, I felt like that's the way he fought Bivol. I feel like he felt like he could hit him with some body shots, hit him on the arms the same way he did Callum Smith. But it didn't work against Bivol, a guy who was bigger and was really unaffected by those punches. You needed something more. You needed more boxing skill and ability than he showed in that fight, because he was really looking for that one powerful shot to break him down over time and take him out in the late rounds, much like he did against Kovalev. But unfortunately, Kovalev was on his last legs. Bivol still in his prime, so it's not the same. I thought that was the case. But perhaps it's not that he was relying on his power and just fell in love with that type of style. Maybe that's the best he could do at this stage in his career. Maybe he doesn't have the energy to be able to box and bounce and maneuver the way he did against the likes of Danny Jacobs. Either way, I think the way he looked in his past 5 fights, I don't think Canelo stands much of a chance against David Benevidez. But again, as I said, as a fan, I would love to see him try. And if he were to win, man, what a stamp on his legacy. What a huge bump to his resume. What an unbelievable feat to be able to go out there and beat this young guy who's been stalking you. But again, if I'm on Canelo's team, I think the betting favorite has to be Benevidez. I think all signs point to Benevidez winning. So I think I would probably try to avoid this until like we're ready to get out of the game and just cash in on one last fight. Maybe hold on a little bit longer, find some other interesting fights. I'm not sure, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Canelo should fight David Benevidez? Do you think he'll duck him? And if he ducks him, are you going to hold it against him? Or are you going to be understanding, kind of like me, where it's like, yo, maybe you should avoid this guy for right now. Maybe right now is not the best time to fight this guy. What do you think? Let me know. I'll catch you guys next time.